Hello, hello. Grown black folks talk. The indictment of former President Donald John Trump and what it means for us in the black community. This is a historical moment. Now, the indictments came down June 8th, and when I went to bed on June 8th, there were 7 counts. By the time I watched the news on June 9th at 11 o'clock, 7 counts had gone to 37 counts. And owing to the age of the former president, they really only need to convict him on one, and that's essentially a life term. This represents the first time a former president has been indicted by the Justice Department of his successor who defeated him. This is dangerous in a lot of ways, and I'm going to go back and put this in the context, but here is the crazy part. He's not being indicted based on anything he did in office. He's being indicted on the foolery he's done since. So, I mean, obviously, there's an easy lesson here. If you don't give up the foolery that you're doing, eventually you just keep on doing the foolery and it trips you up and destroys you. We've talked about that before. Wisdom excels folly as light excels darkness. We've talked about that before. But I want to talk to you about how we are getting a lot of wake up calls about the nature of our country. Now, in one way, this is a hopeful sign, and I'll tell you why. Now, if y'all like the politics of Republicans, I'm just gonna tell you right now, you probably want to click off here. I'm going to say some things based on the Confederate flags and Nazi flags that have been showing up in Republican rallies. I most certainly know that Republicans are not all neo-Confederate, nor are they all neo-Nazis. I understand that. There was enough of them to kill someone in Charlottesville over a statue to Robert E. Lee, but that's not everybody. Of course, I understand that. You know, I understand that all Republicans did not support what happened in January 6th in state houses around the country with the Proud Boys and their foolery in various places around the country. I understand that too. I get that. But I also understand that in 1923, every German did not support this very small party called the Nazi Party at that time. And because Germany failed to nip the early Nazi party in the bud, they had Hitler in jail for a minute, if only it had been longer than a minute. I am pleased to know that the United States is defending itself against people that wanted to interrupt its processes of the continuance of power through elections. I'm glad that the United States has been getting convictions in the last 2 years because of that. Because again, maybe the United States has taken a lesson from Germany and has decided that, okay, we got about 10 years to figure out what we're going to do. We could be in a world war tomorrow. So we really don't have the kind of time. We could be in the Great Depression now. We just don't know it yet. But certainly the economy could completely collapse at any time. In fact, we just missed it on Monday. So maybe playing patty cake isn't where it's at right now. I hope that these indictments mean that. But we are at an extremely dangerous moment in the crypto world, which I often talk to y'all about. It has been revealed we have the head of the SEC out here suing Binance for offering securities, cryptos as securities. But come to find out that he was offered, he wanted a job at Binance, and the founder refused to give it to him. And when we get into the discovery, it may be that the head of the SEC is just up there, just a scorned person who wanted a high paying job that he couldn't get. Now it's just running the SEC as his personal revenge vehicle. It's possible. We're gonna find out a lot in discovery. So you have people playing around with your country's commerce and economics that may have just be doing stupid stuff because of their personal opinion on behalf of the legacy system of banking that does not want people to have access to other forms of capital they don't control. You have a president and a speaker of the House that were willing to run the paying of the nation's bills all the way down to the wire, with the threat of a global recession and depression going on out there. If the United States does not pay its bills, we owe a lot of money to a lot of other people. And that's not even talking about how they might react. That same Germany is the largest holder of our debt. And if you know German history at all, what you do not want to do is to have a bunch of Germans feeling defrauded. You get a world war for that. Or at least you're going to have real trouble structuring that in the future. First biggest debt holder is the people that Republicans say is our biggest rival. So we want to give them a reason to start demanding other forms of payment. We want to really tick off an international incident. You really want to destroy both countries' economies, but China has more factories than we have. So in the middle of this, the United States Justice Department goes ahead and arrests Donald Trump. This also sets an extremely dangerous precedent. Suppose Governor DeSantis, Justice Department, wants to find a way to get back at Joe Biden at an even older age at some point and have him jailed for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. He can direct his Justice Department to do some foolery. The problem in this environment is even when you do the right thing, people are constantly sitting up here waiting to do some kind of revenge play. I don't know if Gary Gensler was qualified for whatever job he wanted at Binance, but you have a lot of very petty people in high places that are looking to do things to people and using the position of their office to have whatever drama they're playing without any kind of thought to whatever else is going on. You have Donald Trump out here just showing off classified documents just to be doing it. That's how he got caught up. It wasn't anything he did as president. It's stuff he's done since then. Because he does not know how to stop trying to make himself be more important than everybody else. It's like you're not the president, sir, anymore. But since he would not accept the outcome of the election, this all just rolled out from there. Since the former Nazis would not accept the fact that the future Nazis would not accept the Junkers and the big time capitalists and the big time imperialists in Germany would not accept that their imperial adventures were over at the end of World War One. They rolled on in with the Nazi Party into fascism and rolled into World War II. And only when Germany was completely destroyed did they finally get it. But I will give Germans some credit. They did get it. They pretty much kept it clean ever since. It's like Kanye West ended up when he started talking about, he actually kind of likes Adolf Hitler. Adidas shut him down because Adidas is from Germany. They not trying. 80 years later, nope. The Berlin Wall just came down 30 years ago, which means if you are 35 or around my age, you remember when you couldn't see anybody from the other side. You remember when people could get shot. It wasn't even 30, yeah, 35 years ago. So if you're 40, you're old enough. If you're 50, you're old enough to remember a time when you may have had cousins across the line. You meet Germans every day who lived on the other side of that line and who had a much worse chance at life. You lived through the economic difficulties that came when East Germany had to be reincorporated into Germany and how that damaged everybody's prospects, at least temporarily. You lived through being able to now go to East Germany and looking at how those people suffered because the Soviets hated the Germans and had control of them for 45 years. You lived and you saw all that. So you were able to put together how bad decisions made in 1870, 1914, and 1923 affect your life as a German right now. But see, in Europe, they actually teach history and they actually pay attention. Maybe we have some people in the United States to pay attention. And all I'm saying is, you better pay attention. I keep saying, get your life together. The people above us have largely abdicated doing anything but advocating for whatever personal drama, political drama, and emotional drama that they feel needs to be played out. Pretty much, with the Justice Department today and yesterday forming maybe a big exception to it. But because of ideological foolery, the country almost didn't pay its bills on Monday. Because of personal, I didn't get the job I wanted foolery, We have a whole bunch of SECs out here doing all this, but missing important things in legacy companies. Banks are over here collapsing left and right, but they ain't doing nothing about that because Gary Gensler may be mad, allegedly, because he didn't get a job. And by the way, we're still in the first half of 2023. We're not done yet. We're still in the first half of the year. Do you think that somehow Joe Biden, Kevin McCarthy, Gary Gensler, and Donald Trump, and Governor DeSantis, and all these people, and Marjorie Taylor Greene are suddenly going to be kissed by the smart fairy and receive wisdom when some of them don't want it? I will say that Joseph Robinette Biden, the 46th president of the United States, has surprised me. He's done better than I expected him. I will give him that much credit. I will give him that much credit. He's done better than I expected him to do. I'll give him that. He has lived on this earth long enough, and as a Catholic knows that the days in which he will have to make account for what he is doing are sooner rather than later. I do believe that he knows that. He's done better. Basically, he outweighted Kevin McCarthy. And in a sense, he just waited for Donald Trump to just trip himself up. It's actually very smoothly played. But because of Joe Biden's mentors, Jesse Helms and Strom Thurmond, those Dixiecrats, those old cut Democrats who go all the way back to the original definition of conservatism, which has to do with preserving racism, I don't expect much from him. But of course, he's aged and matured and has shown a measure of wisdom. But that doesn't mean that he has enough to forever be compensating for all the foolery around him. I have a senator, Senator Dianne Feinstein, who's out here talking about I will not retire. I had, y'all watch that on the news. I feel sorry for her in a way because just like, what do you do when you don't know what else to do with your life at 88-ish? I don't know if she had a birthday yet. People who do not know what to do, who cannot give up being powerful, who have nothing else going for them such that they can actually retire. But then if you know the history of Dianne Feinstein and some of the things that she did in San Francisco to take advantage of people, to make chattel of people, how she redirected money that was meant to clean up Superfund sites where black people lived and redirected to some of her little friends, allegedly. See, everything you do out here, you got to pay for eventually. Even as a Christian, yeah, Jesus paid it all in terms of the substitutionary sacrifice for your sins. You will go to heaven anyhow, but those consequences you get when you do wrong and you know you're doing wrong and you don't want to stop doing it, oh, Jesus paid it all, but you're going to pay for that. You got to know what Jesus paid for. Even as a Christian, you really can't get rid of it. You can't get away with much of anything. I was sharing with a friend of mine the other day. I've lived a boring life because I already know other people can get away with things I can't get away with because my Father in heaven ain't gonna have it. He knows I know. I ain't gonna be able to get away with all that. Nope, not gonna be able to. Mm-mm, mm-mm. My servant that knoweth to do my will and doeth not shall be beaten with many stripes. No one gets away with anything. Even former President Donald John Trump has just found out. Now, indictments are not convictions. 37 counts is a lot of counts. He's not convicted yet. And in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. We're not even questioning that. But to be a former president and find yourself in this situation has got to be a punishment all by itself. Donald Trump wanted to be unique among men. He has been. He is the only president to have lost the popular vote in both elections. One won, lost the other one. He is the only president to twice be impeached, and now he is the only president, and he'll always be the first to be indicted by the Justice Department of his successor. And to be, his birthday is this month, 77, and looking down the nose of decades in prison. A life term, even on one count, because of his age. And he has to face 37. Be sure your sins will find you out, even if you were the president of the United States. And even if it's me or you, I keep saying, relative to the United States, showing the caliber of the people we have had up over us in the last 7 years. Get your life together. You're gonna have to choose to be free. If you're a black person waiting on Democrats, get that. The best you're gonna get for right now is Mr. Joseph Robinette Biden, the mentee of Jesse Helms and Strom Thurmond. That's the best you got. If you waiting on Republicans, so you want Donald Trump from indictment land, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, and Governor DeSantis to do something for you. And Kevin McCarthy can barely figure out how the country's gonna pay its bills. Is that what you're waiting on? I am glad to see that the United States has now twice in a week looked into the abyss and said, no, we ain't going there. We're going to indict who we need to indict and we're going to find a way to pay these bills. That's hopeful. But you can't get comfortable. Well, no. You're not my chattel. You can get comfortable if you want to. I would strongly not advise that. Get your life together. All this running around online, getting involved in all these different this and that, this and that. Looking for a man and a woman to go 50-50 or go full provider, try to pull you out of this. Ain't gonna get it. We are living in exceptionally dangerous times. Better get your skills, better get your calling, you better figure out who you gonna serve, and if that's feasible, and get your life together. I wish we had more cheerful topics. I'm always saying that. I'm probably get out at the park sometime today. I'm gonna go searching for some good news. There is some other content that I have in mind. Kind of digging into the music side of my life, but as an artist, I'd like to be paid, so I'm not putting a lot of that up here. I have other places that I can pay for my work, so I'm not putting a whole lot of stuff up here. I'm picking up commissions and making connections. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to just put stuff out there to be putting it out, but I will work my way back this way to add some lightness and some joy. But there's also just things that we really need to discuss and to hear. And I would be failing you if I did not alert you to those things. I take seriously that there are still more than 860 of you that want to be here. I want us to, I think most of us are not fans of President Trump. Okay, celebrate when you need to, but learn the lessons. He is not getting away with anything. Then we need to be careful how we roll out here. Again, thank you for listening. You have a good day now. Goodbye.